Chapter 3 The Illusory Hollow.
Journeying through an ancient forest is akin to venturing into a realm untethered from time. The naive souls who dare deny its enchantment shall swiftly succumb to a labyrinth of verdant mysteries, where only fortune's favor may grant them a glimpse of daylight's embrace once more. Bereft of mankind's dominion, nature reigns supreme, shaping the land to its whims and caprices. While an animal's trail may offer sustenance and quench a parched throat, it shall never reveal a path leading beyond the woodland's embrace. Halls adorned with sentinels of oak and ash stand as the mighty ramparts of the avian and beastly realm, harboring no inclination to depart or illuminate the wayward wanderers who trespass within. As Aran'yon and his sister Arashelle delved further into the heart of the ancient woods, a palpable hush enshrouded the air, thick with foreboding. The path they had once tread upon with familiarity now twisted and eluded their grasp. A furrow creased the lord's brow, and he exchanged a knowing glance with his sister. Dismounting from their trusty Hayaliaini, they bestowed tender strokes upon their verdant manes, seeking solace in their touch. The canine-like vegetables quivered, their leafy forms trembling as they keenly sensed the presence of a disquietude that cloaked the surroundings. Aran'yon heaved a somber sigh, his gaze tracing the gentle curve of his mount's back until it met his sister's eyes.
Alas, we must bid farewell to our devoted Hayaliaini. The very woods conspire against us, and they, too, bear the burden of its enmity. They face peril as long as they remain by our side.
Arashelle nodded in silent comprehension and rose onto the balls of her feet. With a hushed utterance, she whispered a command into the ear of her verdant companion, mirroring her brother's actions. In response, the creature sprang forth, gracefully disappearing into the verdant thicket encircling the elven siblings.
Have no fear, Thar, for their path homeward shall be free from disturbance. They are akin to this sacred woodland realm.
Aran'yon did not respond. The route they had traversed to reach the Noralina from the highroad now writhed, entwined within a labyrinth of veiled obscurity and murmurs. His acute senses stood vigilant, every leaf's whisper and distant creature's call compelling him to clasp the hilt of his sword with unwavering resolve. In silent accord, he exchanged a glance with his sister, their eyes mirroring a potent fusion of determination and vigilance, as her grasp tightened upon her bow. They were no mere wayfarers ensnared in the forest's grasp. They bore a purpose and yearned to find their way back to their province. Time meandered languidly as they endeavored to reclaim their path, yet for the lost, its passage felt interminable. Wisely, they etched discreet signs upon the trail, determined to leave a trace, but this stratagem proved futile, for more often than not, they encountered familiar terrain as if caught in a bewildering loop. Nay, perchance their steps merely led them to where they had erstwhile trodden, albeit apace, as if time itself conspired to outpace their progress and some enchantment, or mischief, obscured their previous markings.
Truly, it has undergone a transformation.
Arashelle bemoaned in hushed tones, treading in her brother's wake. The dearth of advancement chipped away at her resolve.
Have we, perchance, veered from the very path that led us here?
No, Adarozan.
Aran'yon responded with a calm demeanor, forging ahead with measured steps.
The woodland realm is in a perpetual state of change, with certain areas more unpredictable than others. I had desired to avoid its treacherous hold, but it appears we have unintentionally strayed into the Gajafingira.
Arashelle's orbs expanded, beholding the name with intimate familiarity. Though not steeped in the antiquity of the Gerunan Emirado, the Gasafinguiru stood as a treacherous realm within the world wood, its enchantments more lethal. Legends whispered that no elven soul who ventured into its depths had ever emerged unscathed. Tales she had once regarded as mere embellishments now kindled a flicker of dread.
I deemed us a day's stride away,
She inadvertently hissed, her voice carrying a touch too loudly, ensnared by the tendrils of fear.
Neither the passage of time nor the expanse of distance hold sway when the wood conspires against us,
He tersely reminded his sister. The mounting delay and the looming specter of orcs encroaching upon his homeland burdened his thoughts. Yet, as he turned his gaze back upon his sister, his countenance softened, witnessing her apprehension. With a tender touch, he extended his free hand to rest gently upon her shoulder.
Take heart, Adarado, for we shall carve a path back to our home. Truly, this predicament may reveal an unseen gateway of opportunity.
opportunity?
She echoed incredulously.
What manner of opportunity, Yurazanthar?
Your training.
He replied.
Surely you jest.
Arashelle's jaw dropped, astonished.
In this very place. Now.
Especially in this very place and time.
Aran'yon's words cleaved the tranquil air with an unyielding edge. Yet beneath the austerity, a genuine concern for his sister resonated.
Accustomancy is our sole beacon through this labyrinthine realm.
His sister's countenance fell.
No, that is akin to sorcery.
Difficult to master, I shall concede, yet devoid of enchantment. Moreover,
his glacial azure gaze swept across the entanglement of underbrush, trees, and verdure that held them captive.
We possess scant alternatives. If I were to undertake this endeavor alone, the duration would be considerably protracted. Your aid is indispensable.
Hearing her brother's words evoked a complex response within her. On the one hand, trepidation coursed through her veins, for if her elder brother, an elf who had traversed countless centuries, treaded warily in the presence of the hollow, then its fearsome nature became all the more palpable. Yet, on the other hand, his plea for aid bestowed upon her a rare honor, bolstering her confidence and fortitude.
So be it.
She acquiesced, her voice carrying a newfound resolve.
Do I presume correctly that it is the accustomancies of drum and wind to which we must turn?
Your supposition holds true.
I harbored fear of that.
Her countenance contorted with bitterness.
Adversity, as the crucible of ingenuity, awakens our spirits, and our brightest accomplishments are kindled in the forge of necessity.
The elven lord proclaimed, his words laden with encouragement. Arashelle pouted at the idiom, yet understood her brother's well-intentioned meaning.
Very well.
Then, let us begin.
Aran'yon turned, his back now facing his sister, and Arashelle mirrored his movement. Standing back to back, the lord extended his sword before him, assuming a vigilant stance, while she knocked an arrow to her bowstring and assumed a poised position. Prepared for any potential disruptions, they honed their focus, and their elven ears twitched and adjusted, displaying a remarkable ear mobility akin to that of beasts.
Now, fixate on your hearing, Adarozan. Resist the temptation to close your eyes. It is unnecessary and shall render you partially blind to an impending assault.
The Lord murmured, his words barely audible. Even creatures attuned to acoustics would struggle to perceive a sound unless they were within a few meters of the pair. His sister, however, heard him quite distinctly. Coincidentally, she had been on the verge of closing her eyes, then abruptly snapped them back open.
Of course,
She hastily replied, determined to conceal any sign of her slip.
Good.
Aran'yon responded calmly.
In the midst of battle, you shall need to employ this skill, and succumbing to poor habits could result in an untimely demise. It is crucial to prune the sprout.
Arashelle suppressed a sardonic remark. With a heightened focus, she expanded the scope of her hearing, honing the keenest sense of her people. Gradually, the myriad sounds of the forest, from the creeping insects on the ground to the faint whispers of the wind above the canopy, seeped into her consciousness, forming a mental map. This map steadily expanded as she listened intently, discerning the presence of all living and inanimate entities within its bounds. The cacophony swelled in her ears, causing her to falter, distorting the intricate details of the map she had meticulously crafted. She let out a sigh and murmured, matching the softness of her brother's voice,
I can no longer see beyond. The pounding of my heart obscures my vision.
You must conquer it.
Aran'yon replied, his voice as serene as a motionless pond in the hushed forest.
Discerning listening is paramount in the art of acoustomancy. Filter out the rhythm of your heart, allowing all else to permeate.
How?
She queried amidst her struggle.
It is my own heart. The harder I strive, the louder it resonates.
Envision your heart as stone.
What?
She questioned, bewildered.
Envision your heart as stone.
The Lord repeated, his voice serene.
Stone epitomizes the earth's fortitude, resilience, and unwavering steadfastness. By picturing your heart metamorphosing into stone, you can access the grounding and stabilizing essence of the very earth.
Arashelle subtly turned her head, casting a sidelong glance at her brother. It was evident that his words held weight, for he stood as motionless as a stone statue, not a trace of breath escaping him. Redirecting her gaze ahead, she fought the temptation to shut her eyes and centered her attention. Once more, she sketched an internal map, absorbing every auditory nuance that surrounded her. Once more, her own heart reverberated in her ears, echoing like a resounding drumbeat.
My heart shall be as stone. Invoke the strength of the earth. My heart shall be as stone.
She whispered silently within.
That is it.
Her brother's voice spoke softly.
Use it as a spiritual anchor, guiding you to a state of tranquility and serenity.
His words, though softly spoken, startled Arashelle. Yet, she found solace in the realization that her brother had taken note of her progress. Returning to her trance-like state, she persisted in envisioning her heart as motionless and cold as stone. Gradually, additional sounds reached her ears and her mental map expanded once again. She suddenly found herself trembling.
It is cold.
She gasped, as though submerged in an icy pool of water. Her eyes darted around wildly, anticipating a bluster tearing through the trees, but nothing transpired.
It is all within your mind. By quelling the murmurs of your heart, you have beguiled your own body, leading it to falsely believe that death looms.
Arashelle's teeth chattered, and her bow slipped from her hands as she reached out to invigorate her numbed limbs.
What course of action should I pursue?
Aran'yon broke his stillness momentarily, shaking his head.
I can guide you to the starting point, yet the path to mastery lies in your hands. Clear your mind, search within, and uncover your own solution.
Why?
She protested in fear, glancing downward. Frost began to form at her feet, causing her toes to grow numb. Gradually, the icy tendrils crawled up her legs, reminiscent of a horde of frigid spiders.
Because you must.
The numbing sensation persisted, coursing through Arashelle's body. Frost now encased the tips of her fingers, while the icy spiders crept along the expanse of her arms. Gradually, a weight settled upon her limbs, causing her knees to weaken and her vision to blur. Now, her lungs roared in her ears as she gasped for breath, desperately seeking life. The entire world whirled around her, spun by an unseen force that pulled her downward. The frost solidified into unyielding ice, and though she attempted to cry out, her voice remained trapped within her constricted throat. Fear consumed her as her vision succumbed to an engulfing darkness.
Fire. I need fire.
Arashelle pondered desperately in her dire predicament. As if in response, a glimmer materialized within her mind. She extended her hands towards the glimmer, yearning for its comforting warmth. The glimmer flickered akin to a frail candle on the verge of extinguishing.
No. Burn, burn bright.
She commanded with unwavering resolve. Like a star awakening in the celestial expanse after traversing boundless infinity, a radiant speck emerged at the heart of the glimmer, casting its luminosity upon the enshrouding mist. A rekindled heat enlivened her fingertips, gradually dispersing the icy encasement that had ensnared her.
Well done.
A gentle yet resplendent voice beamed. And in an instant, she found herself returned. The shadows dispersed, her bow materialized in her grasp, and she stood beside her brother amidst the tranquil embrace of the forest.
What happened?
The initial strides on the path to mastery.
Aran'yon smiled.
Though I know not of the harrowing visions that beset you, you have emerged victorious. Once tranquility prevails, I shall fashion a token befitting your triumph.
Arashelle stood in awe. Her thoughts pondered how much of her vision had been a farce. However, her contemplation was fleeting, for she soon discerned a conspicuous absence. The amplified symphony of the forest reached her ears, yet the pulsations of her heart and the rhythm of her breath were strangely absent.
Have I achieved it? Have I truly mastered it?
She marveled, overcome with elation. Startled once more, she leapt as the indulgent laughter of Aran'yon resonated behind her, a rare manifestation of mirth.
Do not allow yourself to grow overconfident, Adarado. This achievement is undoubtedly commendable, yet it merely marks the inception. Many years of arduous training and practical wisdom lie ahead ere you may be deemed proficient in the realm of acoustomancy.
A solemn expression settled upon Arashelle's face as she found herself condescended to as a mere child. Having surpassed her 20th year, she was tempted to assert herself, yet she deemed it wiser to reserve her thoughts for another time.
I understand, Yurazanthar, but might you grant me a small indulgence?
She ventured.
Once we have ensured our safety. For now, let us turn our attention to matters at hand. We are faced with a riddle that requires our unraveling.